Well, you're saying it's an open system for those that will play by the rules.
Absolutely. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
That's basically a proprietary system.
No.
No.
No, because it's open to anyone who is willing to play by the rules.
If you want the content.
Okay, I guess we're splitting hairs here.
Well, what happens when somebody installs something with a key, and then they register the thing, and then you find out that that key it's already existed under a different name?
We don't really track names, so.
Well, but if two people try to register the same software with the same, when you register a software, do you have a way of knowing what the key was, its installation key?
We don't register software, so.
Well, let's say that I am registering that I've installed software and I type in the key to install some software. And then I go to register the software. You register it, fill out the card. You might not even register it, but if you had to, it gives you this automatic registering thing, which oftentimes is bogus. But let's say there was a feedback flag when you register it to activate the software, and then you register the software, and you found out that key has already been used.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Well, I think I followed, but you're really describing a different system than what we are proposing, so okay. I'm not sure I can comment.
Okay. I'll let that one.
Yeah,
put
sorry.
it in the static box or whatever.
So, trying to get back to who issues the keys or who makes the decisions. Basically, the idea, our notion of open system is that there are several content owners, and they want to generate content that plays on a whole variety of devices made by different manufacturers. Now, because they need to trust the manufacturer to do the right thing when they get the content, there has to be an agreement in place. It would be possible, right, for every content owner to have a separate agreement with every device manufacturer in the world, but you end up with this M times N matrix, and for a device manufacturer who wants to meet agreements with multiple, that's trying to have one device that plays content for all these different manufacturers, meeting all the different requirements that may arise from the negotiations would be virtually impossible or extremely complex. So the way we propose this can be deployed, this is more a deployment issue than a technology issue, is if everyone agrees on a common entity to generate device keys and KMBs and manage that, then now you need fewer relationships, fewer trust relationships. So this entity would generate both the keys for device manufacturers and the KMBs for content owners. It would manage the revocation list following agreed upon criteria for what gets revoked and what doesn't. And then it would use this revocation list when it computes new KMBs.
Yeah. So who determines the agreement for what gets revoked? So I'm manufacturing a device and I don't want to play Sony CDs. I could do that.
Yeah, you could, but believe me,
Right.
the market
So,
will manage that. The market will manage that.
Well, that's my concern. My concern is that Sony can do that for mom and pop. CD.
Well, so
We
I
won't
guess
though.
a nice side effect of having this common agreement is that first, if there's an agreement, there's a commitment going in both directions. So content owners commit.
It's more than two directions. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, it is, because you have, on the one hand, you have content owners, and on the other hand, you have device manufacturers, right? So what we're trying to do here is to get everyone to agree on, how things should be handled.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you have device manufacturers saying, okay, if I get content, I'll follow these rules. And on the other hand, you have content owners saying, if you'll follow the rules, I'll make content available. And because you're not having these relationships between one content owner with one device manufacturer, then content that is released for this system will play on devices by all device manufacturers that participate. So you cannot, so content owners on the one hand cannot use the system to discriminate between different manufacturers. They could have other mechanisms if they really wanted to do it, but they wouldn't be able to use this system to do that.
I'm assuming that the system owners cannot discriminate against the content developers as well.
Well, this compliance agency is really a third party, and it has agreements in place with everyone else. So it's legally bound to do things a certain way.
I have lived through this situation 1.5 times. The half time was in the telecommunications industry. It wasn't quite as successful as the first time. But if you'd like, let him get through his material, and then I will be glad to take you back through how it probably will happen in the market.
Did you have a follow-up question?
Oh, I'm just guessing that all this decrypting and encrypting has to be handled by custom chipsets, which means somebody's going to win a pretty big contract for embedded chips that have to go in all these devices to handle.
So let me share our experience with one such system that is commercially available, which is CPRM, CPPM. Basically, there's a spec. You can go to the website and download a spec that basically tells you how to build the tool to process the keys. So you can. So that's not secret. That's not proprietary in any way. Anyone can get it. If you're a licensee, you have access to that, and you have access to the particular keys, right? So the idea is that the system is, again, open in the sense that there's a specification that tells you how to do things, and the only thing that's controlled is the access to the secrets, to the keys, which is also a nice property. You know, you don't want to have security by obscurity. You want to focus all your security on the keys. So there's no such thing as a proprietary chip that people need to insert into their systems. They can go implement it themselves. There could be multiple chip manufacturers whose business it is to make chips that incorporate this functionality, but it's really available in the marketplace. There's no control at that level. The control really is in access to the keys. And the idea is you only give keys to people you trust, and you only trust people you have a relationship with. So we're talking, just to finish on the idea of control. You could, one of the questions that usually comes up, it didn't come up in this particular occasion, is, okay, who gets to define who's revoked and who isn't, right? And one possible, technically possible answer is each content owner will decide which devices are revoked and which devices are trusted and which are not. So they may say, okay, compliance agency, I'm not going to trust all these keys. And the compliance agency could generate a KMB for one record label and a different KMB for a different record label, and they would have different revocation lists. So that's technically feasible, but you end up with what we call islands of content, which is, now I have a device, it's a Sony device. Now I get a Madonna CD, and it's like, okay, what's the record label that Madonna is signed for? Okay, it's Maverick. Who owns Maverick? It's, I don't know, Universal, whoever. wait, did Universal allow Sony to play this content? So it becomes kind of unpredictable, that you don't know what is going to play where. It would become burdensome, and it would discourage consumers from using it. So we believe that a much more workable system is where there's this common notion of which devices are revoked and which are not. So everyone agrees on the rules that would cause a device to become revoked. And there's a common process for that. And all the content owners basically have to live with the current revocation list. And at that point, you get interoperability. You get content from record label A plays on all participating devices. Yeah.
Can you generate new keys? If your key management block is already established, can you generate a new key, or is the keys already fixed relative to the existing key management block once it's established?
Well, over the life of the system, you would generate lots of key management blocks, and each key management block would encode a different key.
So we don't know the mechanism so we haven't been revealed the total mechanism to generate the new key management block, but we can download it. Is that correct?
Well, I gave you a very cartoonish description of how it works with that matrix and all the explosions.
All right.
But that's the concept. But if you really want to go out and implement this, then you can go to 4C. If you want to implement CPRM, you can go to 4centity.com and download both the license and the spec.
I think you said the keys were going to be about 64 bits, and you're probably going to need about 1 billion. You probably allocate about 1 billion keys that are going to work. And if that's the case, and you only got 2 to the 64 keys, then if you start trying keys at random or one after another, about 1 out of 1 billion keys are going to work. Then you come up with random.
You have to try 1 out of 2 to the 64. That's a lot.
No, if there's 1 billion that work.
But you don't know.
You're going to find one in just a few days of computation time.
No, but you don't know which of those billion keys you
No,
are.
you're
So
going to
it's
try them all.
1 billion out of 2 to the 64.
So
that's a lot.
That's about 1 of a billion. Yeah, no, about 1 out of 1 billion will work.
So we'll make
So you
it
find
128.
Yeah, then now you're talking. Now it's okay.
We need to move
I'll
on.
make a note.
64 is not going to do it because about 1 out of a billion keys will be a valid key, and you'll be able to find that in a few days of computation.
Are you
time.
going back to
key
grad
size is
school
kind
at
of like-
Berkeley?
What?
What if you have a program